Well, there goes that series. There goes that series. There's no other way to look at it, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way to look at it. Nobody's overcoming an 0-3 deficit in the NBA Finals. It hasn't happened. There's no reason to believe that it's going to happen now. This is not one of those situations where anybody's going to say anything different today. So you're not going to get any surprises there. We got a whole bunch of people coming on the show, but I want to say this. I'm a movie buff. I like my movies. You remember that actor Zach Galifianakis in the movie The Campaign with Will Ferrell? You know what he used to say all the time in that movie? We're bringing our brooms because it's a mess. First takes in the house in Dallas.
Two elite scores have found their stroke here in Game 3. Some Kyrie chaos here in the first half. He's got 20. Tim Hardaway on the drive, goes right. White blocked by White. Tatum down the other end. Brown with the flush. Brown continues the barrage. Dallas desperate not to fall behind. 0-3. Corner three-pointer Washington. It's good. 6-point game. Brown runs into Doncic, blocking foul. And that's it. He's fouled out. Irving pull up, jump shot. It's good. Drives, pulls up, jump shot. Puts it in. They hold off a furious comeback attempt and now have a 3-0 lead here in these NBA Finals.
3-0. 3-0. That's what's happening. Brian Windhorst, good to see you this morning. Of course, Stephen A. Smith, my girl Andrea Carter.
Hello.
I'm Molly Karam. Hi, everybody.
You're
How
feeling
are
good.
you
You're feeling great this morning, aren't you?
I'm feeling good. It's a Friday Eve, Andrea. Feeling real good about my pick.
Right.
How are
I'm
you guys
sure you
feeling
are.
about that Mavs pick?
We're just talking about you. I'm sure you feel wonderful
I'm feeling
about
good.
your pick.
I'm feeling good.
I will take complete ownership for my pick.
I actually wish we had a full screen of my finals picks, since I joined the show, but it's all good.
It's okay.
Stephen A., Wendy, how are you guys?
We could talk about Molly's final picks all she wants to. Pats herself on the back. She can do all of that. She's more than welcome to do that. Let me tell you this right now. The series ends sooner vacation begins. I'm good. No matter what, I'm good.
On that note, let's get it started. The Celtics hold off the Mavericks, one win from their 18th NBA title. Jason Tatum scored 31, Jaylen Brown had 30, and the Celtics held up a furious Dallas rally to win 106-99 and go up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. The Mavs' Luka Doncic fouled out with 4:12 remaining. Luka is not having it with the refs.
Luka, what did you think of the whistles that went against you in the fourth quarter?
I don't know. We couldn't play physical, so I don't know. I don't want to say nothing, but six foul in the NBA Finals, where I'm like this. Come on, man. Better than that.
All right, Wendy, let's break it down. How much blame should Luka get for the loss?
Well, the reason this series is 3-0 is because the Celtics are awesome. It's a coronation for them. They haven't lost in a month. They won 10 or 9 straight games. They're on the verge of doing something we've never seen before, which is to sweep the conference finals and finals. We have to start by saying they're taking it. But it was extremely disappointing the way Luka was unable to be there for his team at the end of this game. They very nearly pulled off an amazing comeback that could have pivoted this series, because I don't know if Kristaps Porzingis is going to be able to play again. I don't care if the series goes on a couple more weeks. I don't know if he's going to be able to. And this was a great opportunity for Dallas to really try to get some momentum going. And regardless of what you think of the 5th foul or whatever other foul, he knew he had 5 fouls. Absolutely knew he had 5 fouls. And to commit that foul in that moment is just a terrible lack of judgment by him. And the reason it's so disappointing to me, the reason I reacted viscerally, is that I've seen him do this now several times. Most of it is when I've watched him play for the Slovenian national team, and I realize that, FIBA basketball is not, the NBA Finals, but it is basically the precursor to it. And I watched him in the World Cup last year get ejected in an elimination game when they're trying to qualify for the Olympics, when he completely lost his composure. I watched him 2 years ago in Eurobasket get fouled, a very similar situation, playing against a team. It's a 4-point game with 3 minutes left. He fouls out because a technical foul counts as a personal in FIBA basketball, and he fouls out. I've just seen it over and over, and that's what's so frustrating is that he is such a brilliant player. He's such a special talent. I really believe he's going to be back in the finals. He's going to be holding the gold trophy, but he's got to learn from this. And it's not just the 6th foul. It's laying on the court, complaining at officials when you give up a basket on the other end. He's never going to be a great defensive player. I understand that. I understand that there's been plenty of guys who've gone to the Hall of Fame who can't defend, who he's comparable to, but he hurts his team by the way he complains to the officials. He hurts his team by the way he lays on the court, why he gives up possessions. You can get away with that in November and December. You can get away with that in game 1 of the first round or when you're ahead in the second round or whatever. You can't get away with that in basically an elimination game in the finals, and that's got to be the lesson for Luka. This could be the pivot point for him because it was a missed opportunity for it to be a pivot point in the series.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely going to have to be a moment of growth for Luka moving forward. For me, defensively, there were so many lapses in judgment. There were so many moments where he wasn't locked in. There were so many moments where he took a bad angle. He was out of position. And everyone's going to talk about this 5th foul, or everyone's going to talk about the 5th foul. I thought we were about to show it. Everyone was going to talk about that 5th foul. And, oh, maybe that was the bang-bang call that didn't go his way. You could possibly say that about the 6th foul, even though I 100% thought that was a blocking call. But you couldn't say anything about his 3rd foul or his 4th foul. The 3rd foul he picked up against Derek White because he was frustrated. He lunged for the ball. He lunges for the ball completely out of position, gets a foul on Derek White. And then the 4th foul, he gets on Peyton Pritchard at half court, just trying to defend, not doing anything except lunging left to right. So the 3rd and 4th, silly foul.
We sit here today with Kyrie Irving being seen as the reasonable one, the level-headed individual that needs to help and assist in reeling in Luka Doncic because Luka Doncic is so petulant and is so petty. Let's not forget he's screaming at his bench and screaming at his coaches, effing challenge the call or whatever. We saw that. He's pointing the finger at everybody but himself, and he takes himself out of the game. And so we also got to take into account this statistically. Do y'all know in these 3 games of this NBA Finals, in the fourth quarter, Luka Doncic has more fouls and more turnovers than field goals. In the fourth quarter of the NBA Finals, he's only shot 3 of 15 in 3 games. He's averaging like 2.8 points in the fourth quarter of the NBA Finals. This is Luka Doncic we're talking about here. And primarily because of the petulance. But with everything that you've said, Andrea, with everything that you've said, Wendy, nobody brought this up. I brought this up last night. You know what really ticked me off about Luka Doncic? Watch the game. If you know the game and you know the flow, you could see that Kyrie was in his bag. I'm not talking about the first half when he exploded, had 20, hit them 4 3-point. I ain't even talking about that. I'm talking about even in the second half. He was getting to the spots when he wanted to. He was getting in the lane when he wanted to. He was getting to the free throw line when he needed to. He was drawing contact. He was nullifying and neutralizing to some degree what Boston was throwing in their direction, especially after they were down 21 and go on a 20-2 run and they come back. And then the next thing you know, with him flowing that way, Luka would get the ball and Luka wouldn't pass it. He's holding the ball. He's bouncing the ball. He's throwing a bunch of pump fakes. He's slowing the pace. It's Jaylen Brown on you, bro. This is not a scrub. This is a star in this game. He's one of the people defending you. You got to know. Listen, I know what I can do. But right now, my man is in his bag. Give him the ball. Move out the way. Flow off of him. He literally disrupted Kyrie. Kyrie should have had about 45, and he would have if Luka hadn't taken so many of the possessions. And it wasn't just his shot and his shot selection. It was the pace with which he did it, which was disrupting Kyrie on this particular occasion. So I really had a problem with that. Outside of that, I'm going to say this as an aside. Tim Hardaway Jr., you're going to have a long offseason, my brother. 19 minutes, not a single point. Not only did he not score a single point, he didn't even have a foul. He didn't even have a decency to record a foul. I mean, it's 0 across the board with the exception of the 3 rebounds. Everything else was 0. He did not even have the decency to foul somebody. I mean, that's how bad Tim Hardaway Jr. was. He's just going through it right now. We know he's better, but it's unfortunate. And in the case of Jason Kidd, when we're talking about accountability, Jason Kidd and the coaching staff, damn, it's the NBA Finals. Y'all couldn't reel in Luka Doncic by now? Y'all couldn't have that conversation. I know you tried, like you said, Wendy. They've tried and they've tried and they've tried. You got to have an impact. You got to get inside this man's head and let him know you can't do this. We needed you. And I'm not talking about in the aftermath of infallible. I mean, even before then, yo, man, we need you. Come on now. You know, keep your cool. Stay in the game. You were right, Wendy. Luka could have been ejected at least 2-3 times last night. At least 2-3 times. They could have ejected him from the game. You know they're not, but they could have, and they would have been justified.
Wendy?
Yeah, I mean, I know this will irritate Luka fans. He actually owes the refereeing staff or the crew like an appreciation because they gave him all kinds of latitude that they wouldn't have given him another time. And, you know, Jason Kidd, Stephen A., I just felt Jason Kidd was in total search mode last night. He played 11 different players in the first half. In an elimination game, you play 7 players, right? You know, that's when you play 7 players. He plays 11 players because he has nowhere to go. There was a moment in the third quarter where the Celtics were really building that lead up, where he was so desperate defensively because Luka couldn't stay in front of anybody. He went to zone. I mean, okay, you can mix it in, but you can't play zone against the Celtics. This is one of the greatest three-point shooting teams in the history of the game. They very simply made 4 passes, defeated the zone, and easily got a 3. Like, he was just searching. And look, you know, Jason said after the game, it's a learning experience for all of them. And I honestly believe in the future of the Mavericks. I would absolutely buy stock if anybody wants to sell it in the future of Luka Doncic today, because I think this is going to help him. Where my frustration begins is that we are in the same spot we were a couple of years ago with Luka, with the same things. They are further along in the process because the team is better, but it's the same things. You've can't repeat the same mistakes. And so I really do believe that 2 years from now, you know, 2 years ago, Stephen A., we were in Boston. And we were watching the Warriors, you know, close out that series. And, you know, we were watching Boston really just sort of wither on the vine at the end. And seeing what the Celtics are 2 years on is amazing. And they deserve the parade that they're going to get in the very near future. Luka can be the Grand Marshal of parade in 2 years, but he's got to take something away from this. Well, he hasn't been taking it away.
Well, I will say this. You're right about the Boston Celtics. They deserve, and let's not forget Joe Mazzulla. Let's not forget the job that he's done. I mean, listen, his personality isn't for everybody, and I understand that. And you know how I feel about Ime Udoka because I believe that Ime Udoka would have had them here as well. But Mazzulla has proven to be a hell of a coach, and he's doing a hell of a job. He really, really is. You got to give credit where credit is due. The tenacity, the togetherness, the selflessness with which this team plays, that's got his fingerprints written all over it. They're accountable to one another, to each other, and to themselves. And then you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown elevating his leadership role. And let me tell you this, and to his peeps, because, you know, everybody, you know, again, talking about what I said. I love Jaylen Brown, but there's some people who haven't. I want to, all of these people that want to come to his defense and talk about he's likable and he's marketable or whatever. You damn right he is. But in the end, even when they struggled against Golden State, Wendy, it wasn't because of petulance. And I think that's where this stands out. It's rare that we have found ourselves in an NBA Finals series and we're looking at a superstar and it's not even his game that we're ultra critical of. It's the temperament. Now, obviously, it's play fast, attack Luka. That's the game plan for the Boston Celtics, and it's worked. This kid Hauser comes off the bench, and the 3 threes was with Luka right there. I mean, Luka's just asleep at the wheel, giving up corner threes to the guy on at least 2 occasions. He was blown by so many times, they had to bring out a stat how nobody has been blown by more in the last 10 years of the playoffs than Luka Doncic. All of these things are incredibly embarrassing, but none is worse than the petulance. He's not in great shape. We've lamented that on many, many occasions. The Boston Celtics know it better than anybody. They are in attack mode. They are literally picking on him. And his petulance is showing. that they're picking on him.
Yep.
That's what really, really is grating his nerves.
Andrea, close this out here before we move on.
Well, I just think we're seeing greatness in the Boston Celtics, especially in opposition to what we're seeing from Luka. When we talk about Joe Mazzulla, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, mind you, all of the Boston Celtics have played phenomenal, but it's their composure when things don't go their way. There were calls that didn't go Jason Tatum's way in last night's game. Jaylen Brown only had 6 points in the first half. There were missed shots, there were missed moments, and they stayed composed the entire time. Even when they've fallen short in game 2 in the first 2 series, what do? They stay composed. They take accountability. They pull together. And that's a championship culture. We're seeing that from Boston. We haven't seen that from anyone else to this degree this season.